Welcome back to Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. Today, my special guest is Mridu, founder of Life is Organized. She helps leaders move out of constant reactivity by building practical, focused structures that support clearer priorities, stronger boundaries, and more intentional leadership. In this episode, we're talking about how structure and clarity together can create sustainable focus under pressure. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. You got my name really well, so thank you for
Yay!
that. And I'm so excited about this conversation. This lights me up, and I'm so happy we're having it at the beginning of the year. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. I was very flattered. You found me online and wanted to join the podcast to share your message, and I think you have a great message to share. And so I was very honored and to have you as my guest.
Thank you.
So let's just dive in. So when leaders tell you they're overwhelmed, what do you notice they're actually reacting to, and what are they avoiding slowing down to see?
Oh gosh, good. Great way to start. So I'm going to step back for a second just before I answer that
Okay.
and kind of describe how I think about being productive or using your time better in a way that's a little bit, maybe a little bit different than like typically what we hear. But I really think about it from an emotional standpoint. And so to tie into what your question is, what are we missing or what are we not seeing? It's like if we can tap more into how do things feel and kind of come from it from that perspective, which is a little bit, like I said, different from like typical time management. I think that's really going to help guide people, professionals,
Mm.
parents, everybody on how they should spend their time, where they should spend their time. So what that means is, okay, we all have the to-do list, personally, professionally. There's 100 tasks on it. There's a million things we need to get done. And we'll find every way to either procrastinate what really needs to happen, be too perfectionist about it, hold on to things that we don't need to. There's a lot of mind clutter, a lot of like negative self-talk, a lot of there's a lot of emotional clutter that's involved with that to-do list. It's not just the to-do list, it's all the things behind it. And so if we can start tapping in and saying, okay, wait, what would make me feel most successful today or in the next hour? What would make me feel most accomplished? And we started from that perspective, it is almost always going to guide you towards the right thing, right? The thing that actually is going to move the needle or make you feel better. So, for example, and it's not always the comfortable thing. It's usually not the comfortable thing. It's usually the little bit harder thing. So maybe it's I don't really want to get up and exercise or go for a walk right now when I wake up, but I know it'll make me feel the most successful. When I go to bed tonight, I'm going to be kicking myself, not because I didn't spend 2 more hours in email, because I didn't go for that walk in the morning, right? And we apply that same strategy about work. There's like all the things on the to-do list, but what would make me feel great if I reached out to those, 5 people today that I've been meaning to network with or that I wanted to build relationships with. And then I can get to all that other stuff, but that's what's really going to make me feel good. And then when I feel really good about that, I'm going to be more motivated to do the other things on the list. So it was kind of a long way to answer that question, but I think it's if we kind of turn the perspective of how we're looking at our list and start asking ourselves that just one really simple, valuable question, it can drive us to do the right things.
I love that a lot because a lot of coaches talk about like eating the frog, right?
Yeah.
Doing the thing that you
Yeah.
dread the most. But I love that shift where you're doing something that's going to make you feel better. And maybe
Yeah.
it is that harder thing,
Yes.
or maybe it's starting with the walk, clearing out your office so that you can be more productive, clearing some of the clutter, the night before, things like that.
Yeah, yeah, and it typically it is like the thing. Well, sometimes you're like, well, how do I identify it? All these things will make me feel great. It's typically the one you're procrastinating. So sometimes we can use clearing the desk as a procrastination tool. So even though it make you feel good right in the moment, it's not what's going to make you feel good by the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Because now you've used it to procrastinate what you really, really, really should be doing, which is something else that's going to give you a bigger it's going to move the needle more. So it is a tricky thing. So actually, the question I always say is not what makes me feel good now. It's a what would make me feel good when my head hits the pillow tonight. So there's
Mhm.
a little bit of not that instant gratification, but like if I can just think forward 12 hours from now, what will I be annoyed about when I go to bed that I didn't do?
Yeah, and I said
Yeah.
clear your desk the night before so that you're
Yes, you're
ready.
right. You're right. Totally.
So definitely not
100%.
the first thing in the day,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
day, but
Yeah.
yes, for sure.
Yeah, but that can be confusing for people because they think like, oh, that would make me feel great right now.
Mhm.
Okay, but is it really like a procrastination thing or is it really what you should be doing? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I love that. Now, in your experience, what is the hidden cost of always responding to the loudest and most urgent issue?
Oh, well, so many times other people's urgency becomes our urgency. And it's really not. It's like you said, there just happened to be the loudest person in the room, maybe screaming the most, maybe uh, requiring the most attention. But if we stop, just pause for a moment and step back and say, wait, is this the most important thing? It could be really urgent, but often other people's urgency becomes our urgency unnecessarily, right? And then we all know it pulls you off from what you're focusing on. You're multitasking, you're doing 100 things. And then the day goes by and you're like, I got nothing done, even though I put in so much time and effort today. So the cost is we're losing obviously time, focus, the stress. And we know, or we like that stress adds, it's impacting our cortisol levels, our sleep, putting on weight, our patience, our decision-making skills, problem solving. So, I mean, the cost with the ripple effect is so detrimental. And but that investment of just 5 minutes of pause and really thinking it through can shift and make all the difference in the trajectory of your day and you're just ultimately reaching your goals.
One of the things that I talk to my clients about is screening that, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes we like to sponge what everybody else is doing, and depending on
Yes.
how our energetic makeup is, we may
Yes.
be more susceptible to picking up other people's stress and then amplifying it and just running versus when we are aware of our own energetic makeup and those things that can throw us off track. I think it really helps us to again, be more of a screen, like let it come through
Hmm.
and not take it on as it's okay, this is now my stress.
Yes. Yeah. Is it okay if I shared a tool or that's been really helpful for me when people do bring that stress to you and you're like, I don't even know how to react to this. In any relationship, whether it is a personal relationship, it's a spouse, a friend, or a professional, it's a colleague, it's a client. When people are communicating with you, they really just want to know two things. You really peel back the onion when they are like telling you all these their demands and their requests. Here's ultimately kind of I think where they're starting from is number one, are you hearing me? Like, am I being heard? Are you listening? Right? Because it's making them feel valued. And then the second thing is, are you taking care of me? Are you going to respond? Like, are you taking care of me? So it's, am I being heard and am I being taken care of? So what I found is when someone does bring that urgency and I've taken the pause and I'm like, it's not that important. I don't need to drop everything, but I need them to understand that they're being valued. You just need to respond to them and say, hey, I hear you. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, or I hear you, and here's my action plan. And that typically will bring somebody's level down like significantly. So it's more like, hey, great, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I see that this is why this is important to you. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set aside time tomorrow, let's say, that I'm fully focused on solving that problem for you, and I'll get back to you by end of week with a plan. I mean, or whatever they might be, but essentially, you're just taking that couple of minutes to say, "I hear you, and I'm going to be taking care, and I'm going to take care of you," and that really brings down that escalation in any kind of conversation. So I found that works really well, but it also allows you, the person, to stay focused on what you really should be doing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you have said that you used to lead from constant reactivity. What does it feel like in your body and decisions at the time, not just on your calendar?
Oh yeah, constant reactivity. We know we've all been there. It's just like it's like in the moment, just everything's coming at you. You feel like the most productive thing to do is let me get out there. Let me respond. Let me text. Let me email. Let me get, and we just, it feels so good at that moment. You're hit it with all these dopamine shots. You're getting your cortisol, you're going up. It feels like very great. But we all know that often when we're in that state, hours later, we're like, I didn't do anything. I didn't accomplish anything. I didn't really solve anything. I didn't finish anything that I started. And so it can feel very frenetic while it can feel very satisfying at the time. That's what's so, it's so hard in the moment because you are like that instant gratification. Instant gratification feels great, but it's also very stressful and it's taking you away from what you want to get done. So it's a practice. I mean, I teach this, live it, breathe it, and I have to practice, intentionally practice this every single day of saying, wait, I'm falling into it. I feel myself. We all know when we're in it, right? We all feel it in our body. And then pull myself out and say, okay, take a breath, take a moment, take a beat.
Mm,
What, like pause. I know this is not in my best interest, you
mm.
know, but I think we've all been there. I mean, it's a daily practice, right?
Yeah, and I think that most awareness, emotional intelligence is
Hmm.
a daily practice. You
Yes.
have to understand kind of where the problem's coming from first before you can correct it. And I think
Right.
that that is really powerful.
Yeah. And sometimes when I know if I'm in it, I can't, I'm aware of it. And I'm like, I want to pull myself out, but I can't do it immediately. And I'm like, okay, I'll let myself do this, sit in this reactivity or this nonsense or this distraction for 10 minutes more, and I'll put on a 10-minute timer. And then I have to pull myself out. So, for example, if
Mm,
I know I'm like retail shopping or on Instagram, what I should be doing, I really want to be doing something else, but I'm using it as a procrastination tool because I don't want to think about the other thing and I catch myself in it, I'm like, okay, 5-minute timer or 10-minute timer. Let me just give myself permission to do it and do it freely instead of feeling guilty about it for a limited amount of time. And when that timer goes off, then I can feel good, like, okay, let myself do it. And then let me get back to the other thing. So I think that can be really helpful. It kind of puts a boundary around it, but it also gives yourself that mental, emotional permission to do it. It's okay. We're not
mm.
perfect. It's fine. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, yes. I like that. Yeah, I tell my clients a lot to, set a timer,
Yeah.
and a lot of times though, it's like set a timer and during that timer, maybe you're making your sales calls. And then when that
Hmm.
timer goes off, you get, then you can go take that 10
Yes.
minute scroll on
Yeah.
social media or, reward yourself, go for a little walk. You were
Love it.
consistent for that time. So I think that that's the same kind of principle, just maybe a
Yeah.
little different.
No, yeah, no, it's the same thing. But I think the takeaway probably there is also put a timer on, like you have 10 minutes for sales calls or 30 minutes. Also put a timer for the distractions. That's what I tell my clients too, is like do both. Like because otherwise we know the distractions, 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes, turns into an hour and a half, right? Like it just doesn't end. Put some parameter on that as well. And you'll feel great that way because you're like, I got to do it, but I didn't do it forever. I didn't do it for like 3 hours.
Yes, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So what was the moment you realized that this wasn't a time problem, but a leadership problem?
Oh gosh. I don't know if there was a moment so much as just again kind of like the practice, but I'd say really when I started losing my own motivation in my business, when I was just feeling like blah, when I was feeling, yeah, just not, is this just lots of questioning, and sometimes it isn't the right thing, but it felt like, yeah, I guess motivation is the only word I could think of. I just had lost like my love for it.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, probably, so I don't know if it was exact time or day, but that was really the time I was like, well, what is the problem? Is it that I don't like coaching? Is it that I don't like, what? No, I'm falling into, I'm not using my time in a way that makes me feel really successful, right? And it makes me feel really good. And that's actually, I think, during that time when I really started playing or moving more into this like emotional state because I was so emotionally just like blah and drained and like not motivated. And I was like, there's got to be other things how do I ignite that again? Because I know I do love this work. So where is that? Where am I missing that, like that igniting that passion again and that excitement and the joy that I started this business for in the first place? And it kind of led me down this whole path of prioritizing in a way that makes me feel really good and managing my time, but also managing my energy a lot better. Yeah.
I understand that. So whenever I first discovered human design, which is one of the tools that I use in my coaching, it
Hmm.
was at a really challenging time for me, but I realized that a lot of my reactivity was like just an energetics with whoever that person was around me at the time.
Hmm.
You know, people that were emotional would make me more emotional. People that were
Yep.
stressed would make me more stressed. And so that awareness of my own makeup really helped me to become less emotional about that and
Hmm.
understand that this is emotions are just
Yeah.
information,
Yep.
just feeding you information so that you can then respond in a healthier way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It is it's a signal. I think it's like a signal to so many other things happening in your life. It's like it really does start there because we probably both preach or practice, like your beliefs and your thoughts then impact your actions and your behavior. So it really starts there. And so if we can get more control in that area or more awareness or more intentional, it is going to impact exactly what actions we're taking, the behaviors, and then to me it's just a cycle. Then that it impacts your motivation and your inspiration.
Yes, yes, I would agree. So tell me about a 60-minute non-negotiable focus block. What's made
Oh,
it
okay.
effective and
Hmm.
what made it stick when everything else competed for your attention?
Yeah. So I call it the power hour, and it is that 1 hour that you are completely intentionally focused, deliberately just thinking about and working on that most important goal of your day or priority. And again, typically it's a thing that's being procrastinated. You're like, I want to do it. I'm always on my mind. It's weighing me down, but I never get to it, or I don't seem to find the time. So it could be like those sales calls. It could be relationship building, visibility, whatever it might be, or starting this big project that you've been like putting off forever. And there's a few different ways to make this happen. There's external things you want to be thinking about and internal. So I will start with the external. And that's typically really thinking about your environment. I think we undervalue how important your environment is. So if you're like, I need to focus, if you're surrounded, for example, if you're surrounded by clutter, or not even clutter, if you just have a few things on your desk and when you are, you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down and focus on this priority, and you're typing and you're thinking. And as a neurological response, when you're thinking, your eyes shift. So you're looking down, doing it, you're thinking, and then that's what happens. You see that sticky note you want to, you take care of, or that thing that has to be mailed, or that has to go in the kitchen, or this, and that momentary lapse of when you're thinking you believe you'll be more productive by now switching gears and doing the other thing, right? It becomes a distraction. But in reality, if you sat in that discomfort for a minute or two, for have that breakthrough idea or next thing, you're going to get through whatever you're working on better. But basically, it means those external distractions are distracting. They're around us and we're going to react to them because we're human. So something as simple as clear off your workspace completely. You don't need to go crazy organizing, just put it behind you on the floor, right? Like start there. Maybe it's you work better like right in front of me right now. My desk is pretty clear and I have a window. I know I work better with light. I just work better, right? Maybe you're someone who really can focus better with a light music in the back. I need silence. My kids love me. Like everybody's different. So it's sort of just getting in touch with what works for you externally, but really I'd say start with like clearing those distractions around you. So that's one way to get, stay in that thing. The second thing is kind of that internal. We've been talking about, okay, once you've identified what's the thing, what are some other reasons that hold you back? Identifying that, like what makes you procrastinate on that. And a lot of times it's this thing is too hard, it's stressful, it's overwhelming, it's so big. So what can you do to help with those emotions? So sometimes it's as simple as I don't need to do this whole project. I just need to do step one. So if let's say I have a big leadership training coming up, I just need to spend 1 hour on creating the outline. I'm not even trying to tackle the slides or the anything else. Let me just think about the outline. And maybe I'll actually be done 30 minutes and I can start researching, or maybe, I won't be. But you start breaking that project or that thing down into smaller steps.
Mm.
So that has been super helpful for me. It's just like, okay, I don't need, I'm not focused on the end goal. I'm focused on the next step.
Yes.
Um,
That is definitely what matters, right? And
yes,
the next
right,
step will
right.
come
It's
after that.
progress. And the next step, yeah, and you'll figure it out.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's like, I just need that time. I'm not doing it because again, it's so big and there are other people involved. So I need to just figure out the planning or the strategizing or how I could delegate it. So maybe that hour is spent on just that. Let me just think about, let me brainstorm, let me plan it a little bit more. Let me strategize how we can make this work with the team. So that has helped. So again, it's sort of like identifying what's the resistance of having what's that resistance, and then how do I break those down into small steps. Again, we're just giving ourselves permission instead of holding ourselves to a standard that I have to complete this, it has to be perfect, I have to get it done. It's permission to just start moving, and like you said, one step always leads to another. So those
Yes.
are some ways that's like that really help me. But it's looking at your external factors and then identifying what's that internal resistance and starting to break that down.
Nice. What does the focused hour actually protect leaders from? The distraction, exhaustion, emotion reactivity, or something else?
Bad. I mean, it's all of
All
it.
of it?
Yeah, but I would say it protects you from reactivity. Another thing to really keep you focused during that time is committing to it. If I'm really going to commit to that hour, and by the way, if anyone's hearing this, they're like, she's crazy. I can do an hour. Start with 30 minutes. 30
Mm.
minutes is great. You do 30 minutes 5 times a week. I mean, that's 150 minutes of focus work. That's amazing, right? That's great. So start with that, and you'll have to, close the email. Just close the tab for 30 minutes. That's it. You can have it on all the rest of the day. Or put the phone on do not disturb. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour. That's it. Not saying all day, right? So that reactivity, if you're really committed, when you turn off those devices and the technology, part of the environmental distractions, it's right. That's going to obviously help. Like that's just going to help with your reactivity. Also, we can retrain our brains. We are just so trained that we have to be on and connected 24/7 that it's really, truly scary. Like it is a neurological like fear that, if we're disconnected. So start with that 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Retrain yourself. You're going to see the world is not going to fall apart. It's going to be great. It's going to be fine. Everyone's going to still know if they have to get in touch with you, there's another way, right? Like they will figure it out. Um, so that it really helps with that. Then obviously your stress comes down when you can do that. But I think more than anything, you feel motivated again. You're like, I finally knocked out a piece of that thing that I've been procrastinating, or the whole thing. Um, or it just started moving. And we all know like momentum, it just makes you feel so inspired and motivated and excited. And when I was talking about, that time when I just felt so blah, like I had lost my momentum, and this helps infuse that again in your life. And it could be that 30-minute walk, it could be that 30-minute the other thing you've been putting off, but that excitement builds up again. I think that's just invaluable.
Yes. I would say even turning off the notifications completely on your
Yes,
phone
yes, yes.
because we're checking our email plenty of times. You know,
Yeah,
we're checking social media plenty of times. We don't have
yep.
to have those constant dings that are going to be part of the distraction.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell my clients, like, try it for one day, turn off your notifications, and guess what? You're still going to check your email 47 times a day because every time you get in the car, you're in a line, you're in between meetings, you're going to check it nonstop. We're so trained. So you don't need to add another 120 times when you're getting emails as distractions on top of that. Right.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And I mean, I feel like most people see email as an informational, like here, I'm sending this. They don't expect instant gratification when you're
Right.
sending an email. Like, sometimes text people might feel like that's more urgent, but still,
Hmm.
we're not to be controlled by our phones. Like, I
Yes.
actually grew up, I'm sure you grew up with no
Yeah.
mobile phone.
Yep.
We
Yep.
survived.
We
It was
survived. We
fine.
all survived. Yes. Yeah. And again, I don't think any of us, I don't think you or me are saying, you know, 8 hours a day beyond do not disturb. But we're talking
No.
little bits of pieces of time. Everything will be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah.
So, what I see is that even the best systems fall apart when leaders are depleted or
Hmm.
internally overwhelmed. How do you see structure supporting a leader's energy, not just their output?
Yeah. Well, I think structure or systems can sometimes get a bad name.
Mhm.
People can feel like, oh, it's constraining me. It's like putting me in a box, or my schedule. It's so unpredictable. There's no way I could have structure. I hear that all the time, right? Everyone's like the unicorn that like nothing will, like no structure will work for them. And I believe the more structure you have, like I almost feel like you can't over systemize. The more structure you have, the more freedom you're going to get, right?
Mhm.
Because the more structure you have, and so let's just bring it back to the examples we're giving. Just literally saying, if I did a power hour every day, and during that time, this is my system. I have a morning hour, maybe it's 30 minutes. I don't have the notifications on. I'm fully focused. I'm making progress on the things that matter most to me. That is going to give you right there, that 1 hour, 30 minutes, more mental freedom over the day, because now you're like, I did the thing I thought I was going to do that was really important to me. So immediately you start freeing up a little bit of mental space. But now, if you took that kind of same structure idea and multiplied that 3, 4, 5 times over the day, well, you have a lot more mental freedom. You have a lot more emotional freedom because you're feeling better, you're thinking more clearly, which means in turn, I have more time. I'm more effective in my problem solving, or I'm more effective in my creativity and brainstorming or my listening skills. Um, and when all of that stress comes down, guess what? You can relax more at night. You probably won't wake up 3 times during the night while you're sleeping. You probably maybe won't skip the gym in the morning because you're, again, feeling a little bit less stressed or more motivated. Maybe you'll make better eating decisions. So it just, again, there's like that ripple effect that we kind of dismiss or don't think about in the moment when we're being so reactive. But if we weren't, if we had more of that structure and a little bit of more of those systems, it relieves so much of that stress and overwhelm.
So I would say that I like planning. I like some structure,
Hmm.
but I do know that not everybody is
Yeah.
designed to be structured. They're not designed.
Yes.
Many people are more reflective in their design,
Hmm.
and they need maybe a little bit of structure, but also the ability to pivot from that structure
Hmm.
as their body is feeling it. How would you advise them to, incorporate a little structure while also having the flexibility to, lead by their natural body rhythm?
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that, because I probably, when I said you can't over systemize or over structure, probably people have in their mind like 8 to 9 this and 9 to 10 and 9 to 9:30, and I didn't mean actually that.
Yeah.
What I mean is probably exactly what you said, is just having the overall structure that is flexible for your lifestyle. So examples, because I work on this with clients all the time, we might say, we start with your goals. So if someone says, okay, I really want a healthier lifestyle. I want to be more focused at work, and I want to be more present with my family or something. We typically start with 3 big goals. Okay. Well, what does that mean to be healthier? What would make you feel really successful? I say at the end, if it was Sunday night and you're looking back your week like this was a great week, and they might say, you know what, if I did some type of physical movement 3 or 4 times this week, great. Well, now that becomes a structure for your week. It doesn't mean it has to be. Well, maybe we could start with a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But when your Monday comes around and it's a crazy day, we're just going to shift it and say, okay, this week it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. It's okay. Like, life is movement. Life is always forever changing. But if you have that overall, like, here's the 3 or 4 things that I'm going to structure, my week will structure around these somehow, or these will be, these will fit in. I'm going to have that's a really successful week, but I'm not constrained to it must be at this time all the time every day, right? You're right. And your energy, some days you wake up, you're just like, I am exhausted. It's not going to be beneficial for me to try to go out and do the extra, because it's just not right. I didn't sleep all night, not going to work. And so then you're like, let me pivot, do that thing tomorrow, and do something that I was going to do tomorrow. Let's do it today, and we're going to look at our energy and we're going to change it. But you have these overall kind of structures for your goals for that week. And within each of those, you might have a system. So let's say you're like, okay, I don't know exactly what days I'm going to go to the gym this week. I'm shooting for these days. We're going to see what it goes, but I know I'm intentional. I know it's going to be some time. But what is that system going to be like? I know for me, let's just say I'm better off in the morning, which means my system might be, I'm going to plan my class out at night, or I'm going to get my clothes together at night, or I'm going to keep my workout clothes and my shoes right at the foot of my bed. So when I wake up, it's the first thing I put on, or I'm going to have my podcast list, right? Like there is a system around that goal, and it hasn't been anything crazy, but there's a few things external and internal that are going to help me get, make that thing happen. So that's what I mean when I say like structures and systems. There are opportunities to kind of systemize things or add a little bit of routine or good habits around every part of our life while leaving that flexibility.
Yeah, I could see that. So for leaders who try focus blocks and fail, what
Yep.
do you think is missing internally when the structure alone doesn't work?
Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the biggest things we hit on this just a little bit ago is that we are putting a full result, we're putting a full project, we're putting this massive thing on that time block. And it's so unrealistic or so overwhelming or so big that of course your eyes are going to glaze over it and you're not going to do it. It's just like, oh, that's funny, that's cute, right? So um it could be like, okay, presentation, or we do something like finance. Like that's just like, I'm going to block for finance. That means nothing when you see it. When you get there, you're like, whatever, you do it. If it said something like review invoices for this month, if that was the action item on your calendar, I can almost guarantee, like you are so much more likely to do it because it's one little piece. It's not a whole thing. And I actually like to use on my calendar things with verbs, like review the invoices. And so it's an action. You're like, so when you get to that time on your block, you're like, oh, I'm just reviewing the invoices for 20 minutes. That's it, right? It's a smaller block, it's a smaller thing. It's not finances because your eyes will glaze over because you don't even know what to do when you get there. When you see that account, you're like, I don't even know what I was thinking about, or I just have this time blocked. So it takes a little bit more time to think about this, but you're like, what is that? What am I being intentional about doing during that time specifically? What's a small piece, and that will keep you more likely on track. But I think that's what's happening internally, is that it's just so big, overwhelming, or just so vague that we're like, it just shut down or we just ignore it.
Yes. I would say that 66 to 70% of the population is a builder of type. They're here to respond to life and follow their gut. And to me, what you're saying is kind of giving them like an option, like, okay, finance, but maybe it's look at invoices, maybe it's reconcile the bank statement. And then
Right.
when you see those items, you're like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. Like, hey, let me make sure that money is coming in. I need to check those
Right.
invoices, things like that.
Yeah. 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 When I move from vague things on my calendar to specific, and it's typically smaller blocks, right? So we need to get, when we see an hour, anytime we used to block out 4 hours to work on presentation, who has 4 hours? We're never going to get 4 hours. Never going to get 2 hours. Let me just do a 30-minute of create the outline. That is so much more effective to keep me going and moving because you want to build motivation, you want to keep momentum, than blocking off 2 hours to work on presentation. It's not going to happen. It just feels too big and too vague.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can leaders tell the difference between productivity urgency and reactive urgency?
Productivity or productivity urgency and reactive urgency. Okay. I think it's going back to just asking yourself the question, and we're talking about being intentional, being aware. Is this is this truly is it truly urgent in terms of like a deadline, or like, it will everything else fall apart if it doesn't happen? Like that's where true urgency is. Is somebody else putting this urgency on me? Um, and is it moving the needle on something important? I think that really is one of the big questions. Is it actually s- getting me closer to my goal, solving my problem, um, getting us closer to the vision? And then when you have five things, like you think you're created equal, right? Really looking at asking yourselves those questions. And then I'd say this, and then finally picking something. Like sometimes you're like, I have five things created equal. They're all truly urgent, right? Maybe they are very important. They're all deadline driven. And we spend so much time in spinning or working a little bit on A, working a little bit on B, working a little bit on C, and then nothing gets done. So one of the worst, I'm going a little bit off topic here, I know, but like one of the worst decisions we can make is to sit in indecision. When you are indecision or indecisive, it comes kind of like this, like it doesn't feel productive at all because you're just not getting anything done. When you have those things created equal, pick one, make the intention, let me do it, be confident in that decision, and then finish it and move on to the next. That's also something I think that we can just get stuck in this cycle of like overthinking, over processing, over system, over like, let me write the list instead of just doing it.
So if you had to summarize it, what changes when a leader shifts from reacting all day to leading from
Hmm.
focused intention? What really shifts for them?
Ooh, gosh, I know it's like everything, but everything. So, um, your own internal monologue will change from I'm always behind, I'll never get it done. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe I'll never catch up. Like that internal monologue will change to I'm in control, or maybe it all won't get done, but the right things will get done. Um, I have agency over my time. I can make this, like that. And I think that when that internal monologue changes, everything shifts, right? Because that, again, it's like now your thoughts are telling you something else. And you'll have really more successful in let me think about this as a big picture. Let me see where I can delegate. Who's the right person? How can I plan it? Where can I spend my time best? Where am I most needed? What are the actual urgencies? All of that thinking, like that foundation of that internal stuff will pave the way for better decisions for that thinking. So that's how I think it'll shift big time, which then, of course, goes into your relationships and your health and all that stuff.
So what does unleash your amazing leadership mean to you?
Oh gosh. So much of what we've been talking about, but it to me is it's a full perspective, holistic view of leadership. It's how you your self-love to your external energy, to the confidence that you bring, to the inspiration, to vulnerability. It's like it's just really your holistic view of leading, of bringing people together, of working towards a shared goal, to being open-minded. I don't know. It's just it's like the whole holistic view of you,
The whole package.
the whole package. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If people wanted to get in touch with you, how could they connect?
Well, all things life is organized. It's organized.com. And then I'm really active on LinkedIn under my name, which I'm sure you'll spell out or link to because it's too hard to even say. But yeah, I love connecting online coffees, in-person coffees if you're in Nashville, or just having a great conversation. It just lights me up to connect with really incredible people,
Yes. Yeah, connecting is the best.
which is why I've really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you again for having me.
Yes, thanks for joining me. It's been fun and insightful, and I really appreciate hearing your insights on how you help people become more productive.
Great. Well, thanks again for having me.
All right, thank you.